Okay, introducing my next guest on my show now. They're no strangers to my show because I've had them on before. We have the Himalayas. Welcome to my show. How are we doing there?
Yeah,
Yeah,
very well,
good.
thank
Thanks for
you.
having
Thank you for
us.
having us.
Yes, you're welcome. Just here today to invite you on to talk about some exciting news about your new single and an upcoming tour in the midsummer.
Yeah. In June, so we're heading out to some headline shows. So we're doing Edinburgh, Nottingham, Newcastle, Leeds, and Bristol. So we're looking forward to doing those shows, some headline shows. So yeah, really looking forward to it.
That's good. So we'll come on to that very shortly. So I'm going to ask my first question to you now. You have a new song called V.O.V. That's an interesting and intriguing song title. How did it all happen, come about?
We about 2 years ago now, we were sent some lyrics by Brian Johnson from AC/DC. He's a mutual friend of our management, and so we sent him. Well, our management team sent him demos or songs from our debut album, which came out last May. And Brian said that he loved the song. He just was a huge fan. So this was before we had released the album, and he sent us lyrics then after saying that. So we were grateful enough that he was just a fan of the band, or a fan of what we're doing. And then for him to send us lyrics then as well was like pretty surreal, and we were really like appreciative, I guess, of it. So we spent some time writing that song, and we wrote it like I think 3 times, again and again and again. It was kind of like to get it right and do justice to Brian's lyrics and his work. So obviously, someone of that size and ilk, you kind of want to pay respect to the fact of the quality that they've brought over their career, and we didn't want to be the ones to let down his work. So we went away and recorded it, and in London, in Maloko Studios with Dan Lancaster, who's part of Muse's team now, and has production for Muse and Bring the Horizon and other big bands like that. So yeah, it's just been a great process.
Oh, that's great. Has that been on your bucket list then for a while, working collaboratively with the people you look up to?
I think it's always been something we aspire to do, but never something we thought would be potentially possible. I think especially the Brian Johnson thing. I think it's always it's just a bit surreal, really.
Yeah, it feels like a very sort of unique and lucky position to have found ourselves in. So we're just incredibly grateful
Yeah.
it's us that have kind of landed with that sort of opportunity.
I always think like with producers as well, you kind of take their interest in working with you in 2 ways. You're paying them to do a job, so it's like less of a thing, I guess. But then equally, they want to work with you. Whereas with Brian, it was like he just solely wanted to work with us. There was no like, it was just because he was a fan of the band and had lyrics to give to us. It was out of sheer kindness from him and the fact that he loved what we were doing.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. And V.O.V. That's an acronym. Is it an acronym for anything? The initials.
Yes, victims of violence. So it was just a line from the lyrics that we were sent from Brian. So we wanted to kind of keep the lyrics as some lines fairly true, but obviously we reworked lyrics and we added our own in. So it's a mixture of Brian's lyrics and ours within the song.
Yeah, I think it's a great line as a chorus, but it just felt like maybe a little bit clunky on paper as the actual title. So we sort of abbreviated it to V.O.V. It just kind of rolls off the tongue a little bit as the kind of main line in the chorus. It works really nicely.
Definitely. And I think for us as well, that we wanted to add our own lyrics because we didn't want to, the lyrics being written from Brian's perspective and in political sense. We want to make it feel like it was justified by our own. You can't necessarily always think someone else's words, because it's from our perspective as well. So I think that we've been able to manage to get our own stance on it, so it feels right for us to sing or perform from our own perspective.
Of course. And I listened to the track just before I interviewed you, and it's a bit of a belter, isn't it? Kind of reminds me of Arctic Monkeys with a slightly heavier sound.
Well, that's great. No, definitely. I think when we were first as a band, we kind of we were huge Arctic Monkeys fans. We still are now, but I think our taste has matured to be into heavy music or other bands I suppose more rock influenced than indie. So I think something that as time's gone on we've developed more and more. So I think the heaviness of this and the more rock sound is something that we're definitely embracing as time.
That's good. And you've done a music video to this, and I've read on the report that some people might find it a bit dark in places. I know when you look at the lyrics, the listener might find it a little bit dark in places.
Yeah, definitely. I think we always try and embrace that. We always try and do that with lyrics or something. I think we're not afraid to tackle challenging topics or topics that we think are too, I don't know, dark for music. We don't have to, it's not all sunshine, lollipops, and rainbows,
Yeah, sometimes it's good to keep the listener intrigued, have a mystery on the song, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think we've always had an element of ambiguity to what we do, and with the album in particular that we released last year, that was something that we were, I think, relatively conscious of anyway. And yeah, I think people don't need to be sort of spoon-fed the meaning of songs. It means what it means at the end of the day. So I think we're more than willing to just kind of encourage that and leave things open to interpretation a little bit. I think there's something to be said about giving a listener an opportunity to think about something rather than just sort of accept it. So having that kind of ambiguity there, it kind of allows listeners to almost have something a little bit more about the song, because if they've got to put a little bit of work in themselves to work out what they think it's about.
Yeah, I know as guys, you write your own songs, but sometimes from the listener, they can relate to the song in their own way, what's going on in their lives, can't they?
Exactly, yeah. And there's plenty of lyrics I found out later on meant something different to how I took it, but that doesn't mean that my interpretation still doesn't mean something to me. So I think that's it's what art's for at the end of the day. So we're very keen on that kind of thing, and we always being too sort of on the nose.
Yeah, we always love things with double meaning. Like with things that multiple choice or like extra things and we didn't want to be like too one dimensional or two dimensional or one dimensional. We wanted to be for a number of people.
Yeah. And on this record, where did you record the track? Was it in London? Was it?
Yes, this was in London at Moloko Studios. So yeah, that was a good experience. Yeah, it was good to be there. And it was a really quick process. So it was nice. It was great for us. But we did like a demo of it, another polished demo in Cardiff as well. So yeah, it was a lot of process, but yeah, it worked out really well.
Yeah, and yeah, actually recording it was really nice. I think everything was kind of in place by that point, so it was quite a smooth and efficient process. We ended up really happy with the results.
Nice. And you've done music videos now and working with some people, like, as I say, you look up to. Any inspiration to do soundtracks, films?
Yeah, I always think like we just love doing music. So like something we do every day. And I suppose in both like a solo capacity and Himalayas, like we would love to work with films. I think film's like such a great medium for storytelling and all this kind of stuff. And I think music pairs with it so well.
Yeah, we generally tend to like to have quite a cinematic sound, I suppose, where it's the song is almost like got its own atmosphere, its own sort of environment, and it can put you in a particular time or place. So yeah, I think we're probably influenced by films and film music more than we maybe even think about. We're all big film fans anyway, so I think when you're trying to make music that's atmospheric, drawing from those influences can be valuable as drawing from other music. Actually, it's can be quite helpful to really paint a picture.
And yeah, going back to V.O.V, you listen to it and the response you get, the rapport. Say it's anthemic in places.
No, that's great. Yeah, we appreciate like the way it's been received. I think and the fact that people think it's anthemic or words like that, we always really appreciate.
And on the you mentioned at the start of the interview you're playing a mini tour in June. I know you're doing selected cities. Is it quite tricky to pick towns and cities? For your fans. You can't please everyone.
Yeah, I think we're trying to balance at the minute. We're recording some more stuff when we're away doing that, so we're trying to balance our schedule. We're doing that and playing shows. So I think these are kind of like these are great shows. Like the places we're playing, we're really excited to go and play. But we're going to be playing more cities in the UK towards the end, later on in the year, basically.
I mean, 2024. Yeah, we're still early in 2024, aren't we? Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. And we're going to play bigger venues. So these are quite intimate shows. It's been a while since we played some headline shows in the UK because we've been doing loads of sports. So these are quite intimate shows. So we're going to try and make the most of that because we just appreciate being able to be close to fans and stuff or making the most of that experience. I guess going from playing like shows like a at Principality Stadium with Foo Fighters and things like that when in June to playing smaller venues, it gives our fans the opportunity to feel like they're really with us. So I think that's something we really want to do. We like tight, sweaty rooms where people can like Marshall feel like they get the full experience of the show. And I think we've tried to up the level of the show, and I think those shows in June are going to be the best we've ever done.
You got a big one to look forward to, as you mentioned, the Foo Fighters. That's in your home city, if I'm standing correct.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, it's a huge experience. I think it's we're so grateful to have been put on those shows, or that show even. Sorry. And yeah, really grateful for the band. But yeah, just super excited to be playing at such a big stadium, and one of our hometowns is even better.
And your album as well, From Hell to Here, still selling well, gaining popularity still. Is that just confirmation that rock and roll music is still alive and kicking, and it has never really gone away?
Yeah, definitely. I just think the only thing we've noticed, I think, as a band, it's definitely still around, but it's just the gulf between your massive bands, your Foo Fighters, your AC/DCs, and the next bands down. You know, that I think that's the thing we've noticed the most. But I think that it's for bands to be inventive enough and exciting enough, so that people don't feel like they feel the same rock record time and time again. And I think that's something we want to pick up the mantle for. You know, we want to be in that space that people are excited about what we do and feel like we're breaking new ground.
That's what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely, 100%.
And going back to Cardiff as well, what's the live music scene there at present? And is Cardiff a good place to visit? I mean, I've been there, and I can say I enjoyed it when I visited, but for the benefit of my listeners.
Yeah, it's there's some really great bands coming out of Cardiff, and there have been for a few years. I think it's one of those places where generally there is a lot of enthusiasm for music anyway. It's quite a creative city, and there's a bit of emphasis on that. So yeah, there's plenty of really good acts at different kind of stages and levels coming out. As a place to visit, it's great. Yeah, there's a lot to do here, and everything's like really close. So it's quite a small city, but you've kind of got everything you need, and people tend to enjoy coming here anyway. When we go away and people find out we're from Cardiff, if they've been, they generally tend to say, "Oh, I love being there." So yeah, come see it, come and check out some of the local artists. There's a lot of really good people, talented people, and not just musicians, but all sorts of different types of artists as well.
That's good. And finally, any shout outs or dedications you would just like to make?
Oh, for Cardiff music scene, yeah. Well, I saw a band called Voya last week who are incredible. We've been aware of this singer for a while. He's been in bands for a few years, and he was always a great frontman. And seeing him doing his thing last week was amazing. I mean, you've obviously got Boy Azuga from the last few years as well. That broke out a few years ago. They're phenomenal live band. The album's amazing. I think we're hoping for another one off them soon.
I chatted to the Now the other week as well. Have you heard of them?
Oh, okay, yeah. We don't really know them that well, but yeah. What do you think of the guys?
Yeah, very good. As you say, I can only echo what you say. That's good that promising young bands are evolving out of the cities other than London,
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah, we're getting a bit now, aren't we? So I think we're not 100% clued up on some of the younger bands coming through. We used to be them, so we're a bit more kind of involved. But yeah, there's always seems to be new acts that you hear about here and there, and people get excited about new artists. So yeah, I mean, if you're kind of involved in the scene and you're keeping an eye out, your band find something good.
That's great. Well, lads, thanks very much for joining me. The Himalayas. All for me to do is now get this song on my radio show for my listeners. And thanks again for your time. It's really, really a pleasure, speaking with you about music and and everything else.
Awesome. Appreciate it. Thanks so much. Thanks for having us.
You're welcome.